Okay, so let's look at an example here of an application where we can tap into our newfound law of cosine. So of course we're going to want to create a triangle out of this situation, or it wouldn't make any sense. So we have a motorized sailboat leaving Florida. So let's say that's Florida's bottom of Florida here, and we're heading for Key West, 150 miles away. So maybe Key West is down here somewhere, and there's our first side at 150 miles. And we're going to go a constant speed of 15 miles per hour, and crosswinds are causing us to go off path here, and we find that after 4 hours of traveling, the sailboat is off course by 20 degrees. So a straight shot would be we're not off course at all, but if we're off course by 20 degrees, and we've got this angle of 20 degrees, and we've been traveling at 15 miles an hour for 4 hours, so of course the 15 miles per hour times the 4 hours is a 60-mile distance. So we've gone 60 miles, and we have another side length here. And we're going to answer how far is the sailboat from Key West at this time. So we have to figure out what that 20 degree like 200, there's 20 degrees is this angle here. $60, $50. So what we have here is a side, an angle, and a side. So if you remember one of our situations, we were able to solve the side angle side. And so this angle here, we've got, doesn't matter what we label these, but let's say that this is capital C here, so this is little c. And let's say that this is angle B here, so little b equals 60. And then so we'll pretend what we don't know is A. So this is going to be little a, and that's going to answer how far we are at this time. So let's take a squared, and it's equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2 b and c times the cosine of the angle A, and that's 20 degrees. So we substitute the parts that we know in here. We don't know A, but we know that if I take 60 squared plus 150 squared minus 2 times 60 times 150 times the cosine of the 20 degrees opposite A. Okay, so putting all this into a calculator, so a squared is going to be equal to 60 squared plus 150 squared minus 2 times 60 times 150, and then finally times the cosine of 20 degrees. Okay, so we come up with 91.85.53-ish. Anyway, what I need is the square root, because remember we calculated the lengths a side squared, and so we want the positive square root of this. So I'm just going to ask for a square root, and then I can have the calculator put that result, if you choose a second function, that a and s is the last answer buffered. So this value here is now being inserted into the square root. And we come up with a length for a to 1 decimal place of 95.8. Okay, with our result for a, that equal to 95.8, we now have a value for the We're 95.8 miles away from Key West at this point in our journey right here. And so this next question is asking us, what angle do I need to turn through? So if we think about that, the ship's going this direction, and I'm going to right the ship by turning through this angle here to send it in that direction. So even though we need this angle on the other side of C to right the ship, we're going to find it by finding C, because it'll be 180 minus whatever C is. So now we're going to revert to solving for one of the angles, and when we solved the law of cosines for the cosine of the angle part, we said that the cosine of some angle, in this case C, is equal to the sum of the squares of the sides that include it, not opposite it. So it's going to be the sum of 60 squared plus this 95.8 that we found squared, and then we subtract the square of the one opposite the angle in question, so that's 150 squared. And then we're dividing by twice the side length for 60 and the 95.8. Okay, so let's calculate that right-hand side. The cosine of C would be equal to, I'm going to open up the numerator with a parenthesis, and then it was 60 squared plus 95.8 squared minus 150 squared, and then close the numerator. So everything happens in the parentheses first, creates a numerator, and then we're going to divide by, and now I'm going to have to parenthesize the denominator as well, because that's going to be 2 times 60 times 95.8, and then I'll close the denominator. Okay, so what we're interested in is the cosine of C is equal to this, so the inverse cosine, take the inverse cosine, and I'll just select previous answer, and it says it's 147.7. Now we have to remember that that's going to be this angle, and we're interested in the angle they turn through, which is on the opposite side of a supplementary angle. So we're going to take 180 minus this, comes up with 32.25. Okay, so this is going to be the angle that they should turn through. All right, so let's just summarize and make sure we've answered their question. So for part A, they wanted to know how far the sailboat is from Key West after they went off course, and we found that to be 95.8. units or miles. And then we found that since the angle C in our little triangle is 147.7, that the supplementary angle over on this side is 32.25 degrees. So that would be the angle that they turn through. And the last thing they want us to determine is how much time has been added to the trip, and at a constant rate of 15 miles per hour. So if they've done a direct path, of course, that's going to be 150 divided by 15. Obviously, this is 10 hours originally, but now we have to take the 60 plus the 95.8 and divide that by the 15. Okay, and that's roughly equal to 10.39. Okay, so let's just round this to the nearest tenth, and we'll think of that as 0.4 of an hour. And if we take our 60 minutes that make up an hour, we can get our answer in terms of minutes. So 0.4 of the 60 minutes is going to be equal to 24. Okay, so up here, the time that we lost is going to be an extra 24 minutes.